Good evening. My name is Jeff Smith. I am chair of the Webster Groves Plan Commission. We are a 9-member board of citizens appointed by the city council to review development proposals and make recommendations to the city regarding future development of the city. In addition to the members of the Plan Commission participating in person and via teleconference, we have a few other representatives of the city. City Council Liaison Emily Hickson Shepard, City Attorney Peter Bruntrager, and Planning Development Director John Wagner. I would like to welcome you all to tonight's monthly meeting and take this opportunity to explain how we operate. As indicated in our agenda, we will begin with the regular session of the meeting when we will hear new applications for rezoning or subdivisions. We will hear a staff report and the applicant will explain the proposal. We will then ask for comments from the public at that time. Anyone with an interest in the proposal may indicate to city staff they have a question or would like to express their opinion. To make sure that we accurately record your name, we ask that you fill out a speaker card if you are in person and turn it in to Mr. Wagner. For those on Zoom, please click on the raise hand feature on Zoom. To make sure we accurately record your name, we ask you to identify your full name and address at the beginning of your comment, either in person or on Zoom. When you're making comments, we ask that you be as concise as possible and not repeat a point made by a previous speaker. We also ask that you limit your comments to 3 minutes. A person who is a spokesperson for an organization may have 6 minutes to comment. After all citizens have spoken, the applicant will be asked to respond to any questions that have been raised during the hearing. When we have finished reviewing one proposal, we will move on to the next application. Comments concerning items not on the agenda should be made during the public comments section of the agenda near the beginning of the meeting. When we have completed the regular portion of the agenda, we will go into executive session. At that time, commission will discuss the proposal and may decide to vote on the application or to postpone the decision. You are welcome to remain and listen to the discussion, but there will be no additional opportunity for public comment at that time. Our recommendations are sent to city council. In most cases, council will conduct a similar hearing and must enact an ordinance before the proposal is finally approved. If the Plan Commission takes a vote tonight, the city council will likely take up this issue at its next meeting. If you want information regarding our vote or the progress of the application, you may contact staff at City Hall. I would ask that the secretary read the first item for tonight's regular meeting.
The first item for tonight's regular meeting is the approval of the minutes from the November 3rd, 2025 meeting.
There you go. Any comments?
I have a motion to approve.
Second.
I have a move and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Annie? Annie, can you hear us? I think we have enough to approve in any case. Any opposed? All right. Minutes are approved. Annie, I see you've responded on webinar, so if you need to type something in, please go ahead. Next item.
Next item, public comment.
As previously mentioned, this is a portion of the meeting where anyone wishing to comment on items not on the agenda is welcome to do so. Do we have anyone? Okay. And John, I just see Annie online. Is that correct? We don't have any other. Okay. Okay. All right. But we don't have any public attendees on via Zoom. Looks like that. Yeah, two.
Yeah, there are 2 people there. Nobody's has raised
Okay. Next item.
Next item, number 4, public hearing. 25 PC04, 131, 23, 133, 15 Euclid Avenue, Euclid Elms, Onder Properties. An application by Robert Keeney to amend the final plat for the above properties to a subdivision plat, replacing a condominium plat.
Okay. Staff?
So this is the same as we had last time. Is that they are Euclid Elm folks are trying to go from a condominium plat to a subdivision plat. And I couldn't find anything in either the subdivision ordinance or the zoning ordinance that would prevent them from doing just that. Peter, I know Peter looked at this quite a bit over the past few days. I'm not sure if you have anything to add, Peter. Never mind.
I want to be clear. So we're on just the plat for this evening, not the PE. We're not discussing the PE ordinance.
Well, I have a
John.
question.
Correct, yeah.
Doesn't the PEU ordinance require that it be a condominium plat?
Well, that's why I'm scrolling back through, but I think we'd need to do something with the PEU and we'd need to recommend something to council for the PEU ordinance as well.
Well, it's a change to the ordinance. Really, in essence, it's changing out the one word from condominium to subdivision. That's,
So how can we approve a subdivision plat when the ordinance requires?
no, but this isn't approving the subdivision plat per se. This is amending the ordinance to allow them to do a subdivision plat.
So what that would require, because the ordinance itself is what lays out what steps we can take following, right? So before there can be any development plan, any plat that would be built within the PEU, we'd have to change the PEU ordinance. So, and I wanted to be clear because I think it states the condominium plat. We're really talking about the PEU because before we can do anything, the ordinance that allows the PEU needs to be modified so that as the applicant's requesting, a subdivision plat could be submitted in place of what is currently a condominium plat.
My understanding from the last meeting was that we were keeping the current plan for the area, that it would run exactly the same where it's like a joint, public spaces are cared for, individual owners own the homes. It would just be a subdivision instead of a condominium. What we determined through our discussion last time was that my understanding was that that could be accomplished. However, the plat that is currently in place, which was supposed to be continuing to be used, does not meet the subdivision requirements of the ordinances of Webster Groves. And so therefore they would have to update their ordinance to lay out setbacks and plot sizes to meet their own ordinance and explain how they were deferring from our current lot requirements for a subdivision. And I believe in this change, all I have seen is that that word has changed and no additional setbacks and lot sizes have been set back. And what is currently in the plat does not meet the subdivision requirements. Is that how
We should let them present.
everyone else understood that?
I don't think it's advertised. We're changing the PEU ordinance to take out that number 2.
So I think the applicant is here. I know there's lots of discussion to be had on this, but I do think the first step should be letting the applicant present.
Yeah.
Any objections? All right, applicant, please.
I'm Brad Peterson, I'm an architect and representing Under Property. The PEU was awarded, with a condominium plat. However, the development of the PEU allows us flexibility with either condominium plat or something to not adhere to a subdivision plat. So I don't know that. I think we're just changing the language to say it's not condominium. It's really a different kind of ownership from condominium to individual land.
Except that the ordinance specifically lays out as a condition of the ordinance that one of the conditions is it has to be submitted as a condominium plat.
Okay. So do we resubmit it as a subdivision plat under PEU, which allows us the flexibility to not have to be a subdivision? That was the purpose of the PEU, because we originally developed this project as 3 or 4 separate lots. When we divided into 3 separate lots, the lots were big. And they allowed us to build like a 4,000 square foot house in each lot. And we met with Laura Perry, we went through all the requirements to get through the PEU. We developed the 5 lots. They give us the 1.2 increase to get to 6 lots. So it's always kind of been that way. And the lots that we have divided have been approved like they've been divided. However, it's approved as a condominium instead of a subdivision. So yes, I think it's a word in the ordinance that
And so just to clarify, there's one paragraph, that's paragraph 3 states a condominium plat shall be approved under the regulations of chapter 50 subdivision of land.
Shall.
I understand that. My question to you is the only request that as part of this application to change the word condominium to subdivision?
nothing else.
The
The development plot is the same. The buildings have been approved by ARB, they all stay the same. We have construction documents ready to the buildings to submit. Everything stays the same, it's just the language of the
Do the setbacks change?
setback.
I didn't think so. Thank you.
And can you explain why that change, why you're asking for that change?
The bank would not finance. Why would that? Now, I don't specifically know if the bank won't finance the condominiums, but I know as an architect, there are different documentation I have to submit to insurance companies. Somehow, ownership and the shared responsibilities of things change under that me. My insurance goes up if I.
The applicant, Robert Keeney, who was back there, handed me a note from the bank just before the meeting, if you guys wanted to see it. I know it's submitting something at the last minute, but
I don't think for us, it's a matter of the personal financing of the applicant for the project. We're trying to adjudicate whether or not the ordinance needs to change. And there are subdivision and condominium PEUs, and they serve different purposes. So changing the word, I think our concern is changes the meaning. It's not a word. It has as you've referenced, it has a specific meaning. So I think that's what we're trying to figure out, is why the plan wouldn't change and the ordinance would need to change. Why not resubmit under a subdivision PEU rather than change our city ordinance?
I guess my thought was also along those lines. When this first came to us in April of 2022, it was attached housing. It was 6 units, 3 attached. Correct. And so in May, you came back in and it was 6 single family. We had a plan, a site development plan that shows pretty much what we approved in the site development plan. No lot lines. My understanding at that time is the development was going to be single family homes in common with a common area. We were very excited with the attached, buildings, but that, you didn't come back with that. The thing is
Just
that
clearing that.
we have been asking as a community for alternative housing.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Housing, attached housing, single family, smaller housing, whatever. And this, we thought, what we were presented at the public hearing at the time was this was going to be some sort of creative design, having common space. I mean, the thought of having a single family house in a common area where somebody else was taking, like a condominium where someone was going to be cutting the grass and, shoveling the snow, that was very attractive. And that's kind of what my perception of what this development was going to be. And now you're coming back and saying you want to have individual lots, 6 lots. I mean, you could have just filed a subdivision plat. Why did you come in for a PEU just to get 1 extra lot?
So if I could direct us kind of back on track here. So there were 3 things that happened, right? So we had a PEU that was approved first. Then there was a final development plan that was approved. And then there was a plat that was submitted. So all 3 of those things had been submitted, been approved, passed by council. The development plan it was passed here. That's what we're looking at now. And my understanding is the development plan isn't supposed to change. So it's irrespective of condominium or subdivision, I don't believe that's the intention. So I understand what you're saying, that there's been multiple, and there were multiple plans, but that's just sort of what happened in this process. The request isn't to change that, and that's been approved. So they can build this, except for the request is to modify that. So because of bank financing, whatever that is. You're right that that's not part of our consideration here. What we are considering isn't which we prefer. It's not, well, we understand what you're asking for, but we think this is better. There's an application with a request in front of you. And so the consideration of this commission is, does the request meet the comp plan? Does this request match what our vision for Webster Groves is? That's the request. It's really put aside the other, because if you don't approve it, what's previously been approved is already approved, right? And so I want to make sure we're clear. It's a much more narrow issue here tonight.
John, can you scroll up on to page 2 of the staff report? We can at least have some of that language in front of us. Thank you.
And I did want to add one thing. Commissioner Clapper, you mentioned a second ago that we were changing the city code to accommodate this. We're simply changing the site-specific ordinance, so we're not changing anything in the subdivision or the actual zoning ordinance itself.
It's just this PE.
It's just the site-specific ordinance. Is that where the wording is changing?
Well, and my thinking is that this is a substantial change, in my opinion. Changing it from a
Sure.
condominium plat to a subdivision plat is a substantial change, which I think if that's the case, it should go back to public hearing. That's just my thought.
My thinking is that, and maybe I'm just misunderstanding this, so I apologize if I am, but we read through a number of sections last month or 2 months ago that said that, yes, a PEU is allowed to operate somewhat outside of requirements for subdivisions and items like that. However, a PEU can't just operate with like an unwritten statement of, we are not going to follow setbacks, we are not going to do this. So there has to be some form of limitation within that PEU, that if someone comes forward later and says, well, we're reconstructing this other building, then there has to be a setback from the front yard and a setback from the side yards. And where do they go to find what that is required by the PEU? I thought that was the PEU ordinance, which those items, is this the PEU ordinance?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, then I'm sorry. I just missed those.
The
And
PE spells out that setbacks, buildings, the floor area, ratios, everything gets.
and those aren't changing.
Apologies. I just missed those.
Yeah.
And Peter, did you say we're going to see the development plan again?
My interest, so
Yeah,
it's up to the
It's not
applicant.
going to change, but
It's up to the applicant, but the reason I asked him is because the development plan's been approved, right? And so it doesn't need to come back in front of the commission or council. There would need to be a subdivision plat then that's submitted, because that's not currently approved or approvable per the ordinance. And so there would still need to be a subdivision plat.
that we will. Okay.
And would this
Yeah.
still be running with a shared public space that's taken care of by some sort of like HOA
Be taken care of by.
ownership? Okay.
Just
Copy of the-
common area.
a copy of the indentures were included in the packet as well. That was submitted since the last meeting.
Just the common areas taken care of, not the individual lots.
The lots and drives and everything.
Yeah.
So it'd be public, it'd be.
Just for the record, state your name.
I'm sorry, Clay Vance, Vance Engineering. So common maintenance of the old grass. Driveways maintained by the lot owners association, et cetera. Because there's shared driveways that need common maintenance. And it's set up as, you know, it's similar to a villa where they have, where you have the 2-3 unit attached villa developments that all have the common maintenance, but they own those individual lots. This would be the same setup, but individual buildings.
So would the homeowners be allowed to put fences up?
That would be something that would have to be in the indentures. I would not think so, but that's.
And
I'm an engineer. That's beyond my.
the modifications in the PEU are just the modifications of the existing code. And so if there's something that's different than what the standard code is for 7,500 square foot districts, it's in the PEU. If it's not there, then it would be otherwise allowed by the zoning or the zoning code. And so fences, that sort of thing could be allowed in the 7,500 square foot district. Indentures, HOA agreements, those sorts of things, we do record them, the city does, so that they are held and available if 75 years down the road, there's nobody alive that remembers them and they need to find them. However, they are private agreements. And so we don't enforce them as the city. We don't involve ourselves in them. If they want to restrict fences, they can do so. They just can't make less restrictive zoning code than the city allows.
So I understand the plan's approved. I have no problem with the plan or how you maintain it, any of that. The only thing that I'm trying to understand is the overarching guidance for a difference between a subdivision and a condominium flat PU. Now I've got confused. I'm sorry, go ahead. I understood that to drive the floor area ratio allowable within the 7,500 foot district. So is that the driving difference here? Because I'm trying to understand what's the material difference here?
No, the driving, it's only that it's changing from a condominium to a subdivision. It doesn't change
I'm sorry.
anything that's been approved.
I
Plan.
understand. I'm sorry. That was a question for the city.
It's just a form of ownership, how it's owned. I mean, with the condominium, you just had a small portion, that just the building itself is the ownership, and the rest of it is the subdivision's responsibility. Here, it's the actual lot, and then the common areas are responsibility of the subdivision. Is that right, Clay?
It is, but to be honest, according to this, when you read through the state statute, I'm not positive that the owners can own the actual building because they're set up so that you own the space inside the building as a condominium, and then the condominium association owns the building and the ground and everything under it and the common elements. And it's really condominiums have their own special requirements, and they're really not set up for individual buildings. It's not I don't know of any that are developed like that.
Understood. Again, for the city, there's
Yes.
no floor area ratio difference between a subdivision and a condominium
No,
in this
just
scenario.
because the building themselves are staying as proposed.
Not in this plan, in general.
In general,
We're
yeah.
not setting a precedent
no,
in a
no.
change from a condominium to a subdivision. That's the question I'm asking.
No, we're not setting a precedent doing that, no,
Okay.
in my opinion.
They also, that was part of what I was asking before. They have an FAR requirement written into their PEU, which our city ordinance allows them to do. So whether it's a subdivision or a condominium, doesn't matter. Either type of PEU is allowed to write an FAR into their
Okay,
ordinance.
thank you
They've done so.
for calling that out. And I apologize. This is like 3 years of us trying to remember in our brains things we've approved. And we really want to choose something that we can adjudicate consistently through time. So that's why I'm really stuck on this, is not to slow you down. It's not to change the plan. It's to make sure we're doing something that we can be consistent with moving forward.
I have to revisit.
I was reviewing
Thank
the staff report that Mara wrote from, let's
22.
say October 2023, something.
Yes.
Over 2 years ago, and it had a table there for the FAR and everything else, and it was under the city's requirements. So none of those went over the requirements. So they didn't get a break on those just because it was a PEU.
Okay, thank you.
And I will add, just because I know there's more discussion, I want to lose it, but to Commissioner Hunt's point, this is what you guys do here is determine, whether this is appropriate for the city, right? And so when we're talking about what's appropriate for the city when it comes to housing, there's things in the comp plan. We've got some diverse housing stock that we like. We like to make sure we kind of fit a variety of options here. And so there, to her point, there is a consideration there where you're talking about a condo that might be generally owned or a condo that would be individually owned space, that those sorts of things, you know, it is ultimately up to you if you consider that a substantial change from where we were. That's your consideration and your duty tonight.
I also think that, because I was wondering about the square footages of the houses. What's the maximum? So I did do the FAR. It's 2,400 square feet, I think. So less than 2,400. So the houses are going to be 2,400 or below.
Yes, they already are. Yeah.
They appear to be about 22,
22,
23, according to the plan that I'm.
But allowable by the PEU. It's not changing and had already been approved.
Yeah, no, we were just talking about the FAR.
Yeah,
I'm saying
no,
that's what it, I think it equated to, was like 24, around 2,400.
One more thing that I would add is the final development plan that you approved has the lot lines on it. That's my fault, but because I didn't really realize that it was in the ordinance as a condo, but this final development plan that was submitted and approved in May of, I don't know when that was, 2 years ago.
That final development plan that has nothing to do with the.
But it matches what we're asking for as far as.
But that's not what we were approving.
But that's what was approved.
That's what was shown on the map, or that's what was shown on the plan. We weren't approving those specific lots.
I understand. I'm pointing out that plan is the same as
Well, yeah,
what
it's
the
the same one
preliminary
that-
plat is.
It's the same one that was at the
Right.
last meeting too, at
Yes,
the one on
correct.
May the 2nd. That's
Right.
the same plan.
Right. I'm not,
Which is why it was approved.
so.
All right, any further discussion? Some have chosen not to speak. That's fine. Annie?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
All right, we can hear you now. It's good.
And we're still in the public hearing.
Yeah,
part of it. Okay.
yes. All right, thank you. All right, I'll entertain comments from the public at this point. Does anyone care to speak on Euclid Elms? No?
Nobody online.
No? You have one? Do you fill out a speaker card? All right. Come on up.
Yeah.
Let's get your name and your address, and then please do a card when you're done.
Yeah, I'm Ellie Lang and I'm from 22 Euclid. Can I just ask a question? Okay, just to clarify.
You can ask a question. We may or may not answer it, but typically
Okay.
for input, but you can put it out there.
Sure. So what you were saying, a PEU for a condominium PEU and a subdivision PEU are identical besides the ownership, like in the subdivision, the ownership is of the building and a small area around the building, each building, and a condominium is that people own inside their own condo, but all of the land is common. Is that the only difference?
And the exterior.
And the exterior of the building. Okay. But there's zero other differences between each type of PEU.
Well, there's just between a subdivision has lot lines.
Right.
A condominium, there are no lot lines specifically there. It's just the outline of
Sure.
the building. Yeah.
I think I'm really just asking to say if it's approved to be a subdivision PEU, I know you guys are saying you aren't going to change anything else, and I kind of believe you because it's been a long process. And I'm just curious if that's approved, are there other changes that any entity could come back later and say, well, now that it's a subdivision PEU, we also want to do X, Y, or Z thing? Or is that not possible because they're identical besides just the way that it's owned?
Yeah, so the restrictions on what can be done are going to be in the PEU, right? Meaning that if there are modifications that are within the restrictions in the PEU, they could be done hypothetically at some point in the future, and that could be immediate or it could be 100 years down the road.
Sure.
If something like that were to happen, it would need to come back in front of the city. And so there were a couple different steps that we went through. The PEU was the first one, then the development plan, and then the plat. And so if there were modifications, depending on the extent of them, they almost certainly have to come at least in front of the Plan Commission, maybe ARB, maybe some other organization as well.
Okay. but just by switching it, there aren't other changes that could be made after the fact.
Well,
Because they're,
Peter, it would be true that one difference would be maybe individualizing the structures, right? There would be more control for the owner to paint their house or potentially pursue a picket fence or something, depending on if that's in their HOA rules. Whereas in the condominium, as I understand it, that would all be locked down and really hard for an individual owner to change. I think, if I followed everything. Okay.
It would still all be kind of dictated by the agreement though, right? So the
Yeah,
indenture.
it has to fall into the
Yes.
PEU ultimately.
Yes.
okay, thank you. I think I can only speak on behalf of myself, obviously, but I have spoken with a lot of my neighbors, and I think that there's been some frustration in this process by some of the changes that have happened after the initial way that it was presented to people in the neighborhood to kind of sell it to us. So that's been frustrating. And also people do just want something to be built and finished. I know especially people like the people who live on Bell and the people who live on Elm who will be immediately like touching these properties have concerns about like water runoff and all that, but that's all, I know that's been addressed previously. So those are the things that I've just been hearing, speaking with people. And then just bigger picture issue is kind of why I was asking the original question I asked of having either, maybe it's not this change specifically, it's not setting a precedent or changing a precedent, but just bigger picture in our community overall. What are we incentivizing? Are we incentivizing corporate entities to be able to buy properties, just sit on them, wait until adjacent properties go for sale, be able to have a PEU so they can build across lot lines and build more structures, as opposed to presumably a corporate entity would be able to outbid someone who wants to buy a home to live in the home. I'm definitely not against denser housing. I think the PEU serves a purpose. I think I'm just kind of throwing out there some of the things that people in my neighborhood have been talking about and being concerned about. So I'm not saying I'm against this change. I was just wanted to clarify to make sure that perhaps there wouldn't be issues further down the road, kind of a few of you have mentioned. So that's really all. Thanks.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Could you get a speaker card for us, please?
Sure.
After the fact.
They're over there.
Okay. Any other comment from the public? Okay. The applicant care to respond at your discretion to anything that was? Okay. Okay. Next item.
Next item, 26 PC01 zoning code text amendment, front facing garages. Proposed amendments include changes to sections 53.203 of the zoning ordinance governing front facing garages.
Huh?
So this is one of the
Excuse me. So this is one of the items that they brought before the boards and commissions. The ones that I had to deal with were the Plan Commission, Board of Adjustment, the Historic Preservation Commission, and the ARB, Architectural Review Board. So we presented some information on electric vehicle charging stations, and the item we're going to talk about tonight is front-facing garages. So we talked about maybe 3 possible changes to it, and then you guys had a month to think about it, and you came back. And in this particular instance, and the results of all 4 commissions talking about that are on the screen now, and they're also in your packet. The Planning Commission in this case chose not to necessarily offer any recommendations on what was proposed in lieu of waiting on a more formal text amendment to the zoning code. This is that formal text amendment to the zoning code on front-facing garages. So there were 3 possible items. I'm going to go down to the section 52.203. There were 3 possible items, and the one of them has to do with front entry garages are permitted if 40% or more of the single-family dwellings on both sides of the street of the same block also have frontage garages, as AKA the 40% rule. That was one change to maybe remove that. Also, there was the idea of the possibility of putting in the part here in red. It was a subsection of item number 3. Basically, it says that if there's a side part of a garage, of a garage, it has to match the architectural style. There's some architects here who could probably say this a lot better. Some members of the HPC are here. It has to have the same material. It can't be, in other words, have the front-facing stuff parallel to the street, be made of stone, and have the side part that maybe go back a little bit be vinyl siding. Has to be all the same material. And then the last one is on the next page is a size exception. That if an applicant can demonstrate that 40% of the dwellings on the same block, both sides of the street, exceed these size limits, then the ARB may approve a design for the front entry garage that exceeds these limits. Where staff is recommending to get rid of the size exception, add in subsection 3A, and to keep the 40% rule.
Just, I guess, a point of order for Peter, as far as keeping a provision, does that require a vote? Or is this kind of a no action item?
If you guys are, I mean, are you trying to take action? If there's a motion to take action, then we can do that.
Agreed, but we don't have to affirmatively say to keep it.
You do not. You've already done that.
Yeah.
I had understood one of the motivators to all this was that there had been several variances put before and approved by the Board of Adjustment. But when I'm looking here, I'm not seeing the Board of Adjustment as weighing in on.
Well, it was, I based my recommendation on, I mean, if we got rid of the 40% rule, it would be, for lack of a better term, open season on front entry garages, essentially. And also I'll go back up to my table here. The Historic Preservation Commission was very much opposed to removing that provision. All right. And I wanted to make sure there was some confusion during the meeting what that was. And the ARB was in favor. The ARB was opposed to removing that provision as well. So
the Board of Adjustment, every one of these other commissions is an advisory committee, right? So everything that you guys do, everything these other committees do is advisory to the council. The Board of Adjustment is not an advisory committee. So they don't make recommendations such as that. They make findings on variances and other code variations.
But what you're saying, Michael, is there were so many, if I may, and I wasn't here, so I can only speculate what went on, or the reasoning for it. There were so many Board of Adjustment cases against that seemed to be an impetus for city policy.
But if I'm on Peter's point, the Board of Adjustment's finding on each case, but not necessarily making commentary on this code adjustments like we are. That's just not in their purview. There are more to find it.
Yes.
Right. That really answers it. Thank you.
This is just for the record. We're not being asked to approve these changes, right?
Yes, you are. Yeah. This is a formal text amendment. So
even though in our last recommendation, we said we don't want to make any changes.
Well, you said you don't want to make any, you didn't want to offer any recommendation on what was proposed in lieu of waiting on a formal text amendment. This is that formal text amendment.
Got it. Okay.
I've got a question. We have HPC and ARB here.
Historic folks, some folks from the Historic Preservation. I don't think they're here to represent the Historic Preservation Commission.
Okay.
So I believe they're here as just citizens.
Okay. I assume you guys want to come up and talk, and I just have a question about 3A. I think we had some sketches last time showing that. which seems to make sense to me. I'm just curious as if the language is written
It is.
Sufficient, is sufficient to convey that. Seems to make sense to me, but I'm not an expert in that area.
I believe the language is sufficient to get that job done. Yes.
Any other questions for the moment? Well, we'll take public comment from members of commissions as public, I suppose.
There's nobody online who wishes to speak, but
Yeah.
I didn't fill out a comment card. I'm Angela Thompson. I live at 35 South Rock Hill Road here. And I am the chairperson for the Historic Preservation Commission, but I am here as a citizen. One thing I do want to stress, removing the 40% rule removes it from the historic districts as well. There is no other guide that restricts that happening in our historic districts, which could result in losing our historic districts as far as any sort of tax credits go for people and that kind of thing. So we're not for that as, as a general rule. That's not helpful. If there was some other way someone wanted to come up with this, I know that there was an issue with carports not being included with the 40%, and they've kind of revised that. They're using the carports now. So let's see, what else? This was put forward by citizens of Webster Groves to have the 40% rule. So, to me, that says something. Why would we go against it? Anyway, I think that's it.
So you're saying the inclusion of the 40% rule was a community driven?
Yes, it was.
Okay. Yeah.
Many years ago, but it was.
Many years ago.
Yeah, I remember.
This has done a long time.
Yeah.
40%.
And it seems to work well.
Yeah.
There's been fewer than 20 people have actually even applied in 20 years to change it. So, it isn't something where there's bunches of people lining up. We want this done. There isn't hardly anyone.
Where did this come from?
that's a good question. David Bookless and I, the deputy city managers, he was actually here as a planner several years ago. But we were trying to look about where the 40% rule came in at. I think at the time, the planning director, Roger Grow, I believe, had 40% and some other language in the zoning ordinance. And maybe he just said, let's just make it 40%. But in short, I don't know what the
recent change.
that they wanted to take it out.
This change.
I can
Oh,
speak to that.
thank you.
So this was a council request. There were some council members who wanted to revisit this, look at this, see if there's a way to make things less burdensome for applicants that might, homeowners that might want to rule as opposed to applying. And a lot of those 20 or however many there were the exceptions have been granted. So the thought process was, if they always get granted, why do we have this rule? But and taking it to the commissions and further conversations with council, the idea that just having the rule in place keeps people from even approaching it as an exception. So took it to the councils for input, or two commissions had no changes at the time. The other two recommended what's here in the red line, which is keeping the 40% rule, adding in the aesthetic middle piece, and removing the exception for letting people have extra big garages because at least 40% of their neighbors have extra big garages. So it's another 40%, but it's a different 40% rule. So that's kind of the history of how we got to here.
I had understood something similar, hence my comment about the exceptions being granted through the Board of Adjustment. So that's what I'd understood. But I gotta admit, I do think there was a little something funny about the way you put it. You're always getting adjustments. So I have the rule, but the rule itself might be keeping people from asking for adjustments.
And
so you're kind of having both sides of the bread, so to speak.
Well,
So
different.
So if I can just submit that It might be working as it should because the only people that are asking for adjustment should be the people that are getting them.
I would not disagree with that. Yeah.
And if I may add, the primary concern or decision I made on it was, and I was just talking to our plan reviewer today about this, if something is going to the Board of Adjustment so often, and I don't know, I think most of those were approved. I didn't talk to Elliot about the results of those cases, but if something is going to the Board of Adjustment so often and it's generally approved every time, if it was, then gosh, that ought to be city policy maybe, or think about that. And so there's that. So that would be an impetus to take out the 40% rule. But also, as Ms. Thompson noted, people may run roughshod over the historic district. So there would be a way to add language to protect the historic districts, but that seems
But also
incredibly complex to be able to do that. But
you can't just go to the Board of Adjustment because you want something, right? You have to show a burden or a hardship to get
you have
there.
to prove a hardship,
So
yes.
I don't find the approval rate particularly interesting. That might just mean we're doing a great job of adjudicating prior to that step to make sure that the packages that go are appropriate.
Correct, yeah.
Also, this isn't hundreds of variances that we're talking about that have been approved. This is like 20-something variances in 20-something years.
Less than 20.
So,
And I think they were all in the same part of town too. From what
so if there is a certain place where the lots are just too small to do it and they're getting variances for it, that's doing exactly what it should be doing. It's finding a hardship where someplace didn't exactly fit into the mold, and we're making it possible for them to do what they're doing. But coming to this idea that there's been tons of these things that have been approved, 20 in 20 years is not bad.
So, and one thing to consider too is the age of our community. No one bought their house and thought, oh, now I'm going to build a great big garage in the front. I mean, drive around. If you thought that was going to happen, you didn't read your information and when buying your home because you bought it that way. The rule was in place when you bought it. So, do you want to join or do you want to be a problem?
The rule was put in because back in 2007, 6, 7, 8, they were starting to put up houses that most of the front was the garage. And then they had a little off to the side was the doorway to get in the house. And nobody liked it. So we made it so that it would be 40% could be the garage because you got to have front entry garages. And most of it wouldn't be. So I don't think we want to change that.
Question for just curiosity's sake. So you mentioned things opening up to the historic district if 40% goes away. Are there any historic districts that currently have 40% front facing? I would assume not.
I could not say for absolute certain, but I almost could say for absolute certain there are not.
There are just a couple instances because I'm working on one right now that is a 40% thing. So
it's in a historic district.
I believe so. Yeah. I'm not sure which one it is.
So, I mean, that would be unchanged by what we're doing here at any rate, but we won't make it any less onerous. All right. Thank you. In interest of consistency, could you fill out a speaker card? I think you got a name and all that, but let's try and be equal for everybody. Please.
I'm Carol Denke. I live at 305 Simmons. I serve on the Architectural Review Board and also on the Historic Preservation Commission. And we are in favor of maintaining the 40% rule, as Angela stated, as a way to protect the integrity of our historic districts. There are historic preservation design guidelines that are administered by the ARB, but those are guidelines alone. This 40% rule is a zoning ordinance. It's a law. It's the only law that keeps front-facing garages out of our historic districts. I think it's very important to emphasize that because early in discussions, there seemed to have been some confusion about what applies to what entity and when. but this law is imperative to protect the integrity of our historic districts. And we are a certified local government, so we are obligated to protect our historic districts. We could potentially lose our CLG if our historic districts are undermined. And regarding the frequency of variances, it was originally postulated, as Emily and others have mentioned, that, well, gee, there's so many variances, let's just get rid of this rule. But Elliot did an excellent job of going back and researching the number of variances, how many were granted. And I think it's important to understand that some of those projects had more than one variance. So while it may look like 21 variances, it was only like 17 or 18 projects. So when you look at that over the course of 20 plus years, that's hardly seems to be an excessive number. You know, there's a point of view that I personally have, and I think others do, that this shows that the 40% rule is functioning as it was intended. And that if there is actually a hardship, people have an option to seek remedy. So if it isn't broke, don't fix it. That's our opinion. And yeah, I think that's about the size of it. Those are the salient points. So yeah, we would appreciate your support in maintaining the 40% rule.
Thank you. Grab a card if you would. Anyone else? Okay. Any follow-up questions for staff at this point? We could take it in executive anyway. Okay, thank you, everyone. Mr. Secretary.
Okay, the next item, number 5, plats and site plans. There are none. Brings us to the adjournment of the regular session.
All right. Do we have a motion?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we're in executive session, and as mentioned before, this part will the commission will discuss internally. There's not any opportunity for further public comment, but you're welcome to stay and listen.
Okay, votes on other business. The first one is 25 PC04, 131, 23, 133, 15 Euclid Avenue, Euclid Elms, Onder Properties. An application by Robert Keeney to amend the final plat for the above properties to a subdivision plat, replacing a condominium plat.
I'll start by saying now that we've fully adjudicated this over the course of 3 years, I have no concerns with this, and I'm at a point where I think that we should approve this as submitted.
Donnie.
I still have a problem with, I mean, how do we reconcile changing the ordinance? I mean, we can say that, yeah, we think it should be a subdivision ordinance, but that still doesn't change the fact that the ordinance, the PE ordinance, shall be a condominium plat. So does this have to go back to amend the PEU ordinance?
Which is exactly what we're doing here right now. So
Not the way it's advertised.
I understand that, but the request and what the action would be is to amend the PEU ordinance to change that one section that deals with a condominium plat to make it a subdivision plat.
I was using the language that's been on there for, I don't know, I guess a couple of years now. Yeah, I'll fix that when it goes to council to amend the PEU ordinance to say subdivision plat as opposed to condominium plat, and then you will see the subdivision plat in the future when it comes back, when they have that ready.
Well, it wasn't advertised.
And I understand that the title itself may not have made that clear, but I think the content in the packet that has been advertised has made it clear. And so what I would tell you to answer your question is, how do we reconcile? We're not reconciling. There is currently an ordinance. It exists. The question isn't to balance that versus what's being requested now. The only question is whether the requested amendment fits into planning's interpretation of the comp plan. So it's not a balance between two things. It's only looking at what the requested action is right now.
What is the requested action right now?
To have a PEU ordinance that that requires the submission and passing of a subdivision plan.
It's almost like we're being asked to grant the PU for the first time, kind of. I mean, I know we're amending it, but
I
yeah.
understand all of that, but legally, it was not advertised as such. It was, so, okay, that's just one item. I don't have a problem with the development. I really don't. My only concern is, as the resident pointed out, this wasn't what when they came to us 2 years ago, this wasn't what, a 6-lot subdivision was not what they were anticipating. They were anticipating something different. And my concern is another developer at some time acquiring it's using the PEU procedure, which is a special procedure, to increase density. And I have a problem with setting a precedent in what we're saying and then coming back and saying, okay, well, we don't want to do that. We want to do something else. Or this is what we really meant to do. We really meant to do a 6-lot subdivision. If you would have come in at that time and said, we want to do a 6-lot subdivision, I'm not sure I would have been as agreeable.
I will point out, though, that I think what you're talking about right there is more suited for when any of the development plans came in front of this commission. And so the commission did approve all of the development plans to the point where
Not what I'm saying.
But my point is that if the issue is with how the layout on the land is, that's not the PEU, right? The PEU sets the parameters on how the build can then go, but the specifics of the build was in both the development plan and then the plat. And so the plat will obviously come back in front of you. But the only modification here from what was previously approved is condominium versus subdivision. And so that's really the analysis that we should be having to determine if that fits the comp plan.
Tony, if this was an elaborate plan, it was really poorly executed because it took 3 years. So I just think it's a genuine misunderstanding or miscalculation of the financing provisions. I don't think that this is
Again,
a route that others are going to
I'm not in disagreement with what they're doing. Okay, I am worried about the precedent that it may set. If someone comes in with a piece of property, comes in with a PEU, because that's a special procedure, right? It's not like anybody comes in off the street. We had to evaluate whether this was going to be a development that was going to be good for the neighborhood and good for the city. Okay. And so when we made that evaluation, it was based on a public hearing in which they came in and said, we're going to do single family housing, where it's going to include, common ground. It's going to do all these kind of things. We don't do a lot of this is the only residential PEU that we just approved. The other one is in conjunction with multifamily. Okay. So yes, we're figuring this out on a strictly single family residential. So I'm just trying to make clear that when we have a public hearing and someone comes in for this density calculation, that we have to be very careful that this is going to be good for the residents around it and the city as a whole.
I don't disagree. We should take the PEUs for condominiums and subdivisions really seriously, but the conditions of the PEU are unchanged. And so for that reason, I don't think that we should be particularly perturbed by the request, because I think it does meet the intent of what we improved.
And Tony, I will point out that at the back of your packet, it does say for the add proof. an application by Robert Keeney to amend ordinance 9186 for the above properties to allow submittal of a subdivision plat in lieu of a condominium plat. So I do think it was properly advertised.
Where is this at?
All right, well, she's looking that up.
Yeah.
Page 38.
Any other comments?
I guess I would agree with, I think the way Grace put it, I'm not struggling with this a whole lot in that it's meeting the underlying conditions of the PEU. So it's only changing that ownership. And truth be told, I think I'd rather see those lots single family owned and condo owned, because I think they're more likely to be maintained that way. That's just my personal prejudice. But so I'm not struggling with it the way it appeared to me. But I appreciate your comments, and I do think you are correct. It gets a little bit of a bait and switch feeling to it. But I see that, but again, it's not enough for me not to support it.
I will say one silver lining of this change, I think, is that the structures are going to be more able to be individualized based on who lives there. And especially in that particular neighborhood, I think that being able to express yourself and your personality is something that is part of the community. So I think that that is a real silver lining.
Okay, anything else? I have a motion.
Make a motion to approve. Was that amendment to change from condo to subdivision? Condominium subdivision, did I say that right?
That's sufficiently stated.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. We'll just go straight to a roll call on this. Andrew? Grace?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Tony?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's right. Annie?
Yes.
And I say yes. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 10 no. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Next.
Okay, next item, 26 PC01 zoning code text amendment, front facing garages. Proposed amendments include changes to sections 53.203 of the zoning ordinance governing front facing garages.
All right. Any additional discussion here?
Can you scroll down to the part on here where you crossed something out of the?
Yes, I was getting to that point here.
Recommended action might be the best place to be.
The what?
There's recommended action, I think is the.
Yeah.
Little, right there.
There you
Yeah,
go.
I got
Requested action.
Can you scroll up to the part that you crossed out? Yeah. So is this exception basically, just for clarification, it would be that if somebody were to present, I need a front facing garage because 40% of my houses on my street have a front facing garage. We approve that. And then they come back and say, well, all those garages are bigger than the size garages that you allow. I want it to be bigger because 40% of those garages are bigger. They would no longer be able to do that. Am I reading that correctly?
That's correct.
Okay. That was all.
Now that is only an ARB approval. So if there's other code issues, it may still need additional, it may still be allowable. It would require different approval.
John, this
Well, yeah, but the ARB right now has the ability to approve those larger garages. They would no longer have that ability to do that.
So I don't know if we have to approve this as written, but I think based on our discussion last time where we said we didn't want to do anything, but then hearing, from other commissions, just starting from there, is there a middle ground here where we keep that exception, we keep the 40% rule, and we just add the architectural integration? That seems pretty much like it would hit most of the preferences we've heard and what we discussed in our past meetings. Where
We are doing the architectural.
Huh?
We are doing the architectural.
Yeah, that's already in there,
Yeah.
but there's 3 changes proposed. I'm saying like,
So you're talking about not removing the size exception, is that
Two
correct?
commissions that had a preference, both had a preference to strike the third one.
but we didn't. We didn't
Right.
want to do that last.
Commission and another commission
wanted
didn't want
to-
to make any changes.
Yeah, we wanted to keep that option with the ARB.
Am I taking of that was because you didn't want to make any changes at all?
Yeah, we
Not
discussed all of
specifically
them
for that one.
and, well, we actually said, let's not bring this up at all.
Yeah.
And we did anyway, so now we're revisiting all of it.
I mean, my recollection is I just didn't want to make any.
Yeah, we didn't want to make any
At all.
changes, but here they are.
I think we want, well,
Either way.
I didn't want to make any changes until we had a public hearing. That was my big thing. I didn't want to have a vote and then come back and have a public hearing and wherein I've already expressed that would sort of prejudice me a little bit.
Yeah.
So that's why I was like, I don't want to say anything until we have this specific public.
Okay.
hearing.
Grace, what were you proposing?
I was proposing to
By section.
keep, okay, for first section, keep the 40% rule. And it's being proposed to strike it, keep it.
Yeah.
The second thing being proposed is to add in the requirement for architectural integration when the garage is offset.
Actually, it's my recommendation that we keep the 40% rule,
first one
the
up there.
part that's at the very front of the,
It
on
is
page-
a recommendation to keep it?
Correct.
Yes, okay, then I agree. I'm sorry, the color coding's not clear.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, yeah, I'm thinking back to the original. I apologize.
Yeah.
Okay,
But
and
there is
then
a
the
recommendation to
architectural
get rid of the
integration
size
is the-
exception.
okay. The architectural integration is the second thing. So I think we all, and from people we heard, that seemed pretty non-controversial. And then the last thing is, it's being suggested to strike the ability to have a larger garage if you meet that additional 40% rule. I'm suggesting maybe we just stop there and don't strike that one. The ARB still has that control, but we've already talked a lot about how difficult it can be for some of the garage situations. Having a little bit of flexibility, I don't think is a bad thing. There's already multiple wickets you have to hit here. I just think this whole thing was brought up because they were looking for more flexibility for garages. If we turn around and we've added 2 things that are more stringent on garages, I don't think that, I just think maybe we're going in the wrong direction. So,
I think that last one, I mean, to my mind, it's not disallowing a garage. It's just you can't build a bigger garage. So
yeah, no, I
would
agree.
struggle a little bit to say where's
just
the
like-
hardship.
I don't think
went
it's a
3 cars
hardship.
Instead of 2.
But it's already an option. And so why, if people on your street, you've got 40% of people on your street who've been able to do it, and now all of a sudden you can't do it? I don't,
So there is, David? Yeah, Peter, darn it.
We should,
Not even
we should all have our, it shall be turned this way.
My question that Peter just answered was, there are ways for people to do larger garages on their lots. It's just, this is removing it from being sort of like the ARB it's brought forward to the ARB, and the ARB can then override some other rules by suggesting or saying, yes, it's okay to do 40%. So it's not taking away their capability to do 40%. Like there are people, or not 40%, bigger.
it's making it harder.
I think if someone had a hardship, they could go to the Board of Adjustment.
Now, I will tell you that there's likely not a hardship
Right.
needing
Yeah.
a larger garage.
We're talking about
That's a thing to
hardship.
sell.
I'm just talking about thinking of the
Everybody else on the
context.
block had a bigger garage.
Right.
And I understand, and that sort of thing does come up at the Board of Adjustment. But I will tell you that while it may not be impossible, it's probably going to make it very difficult to have an oversized garage if the ARB doesn't have that discretion.
I think this is already, there's already a qualifier in there. All it's doing is giving the ARB discretion. So, and it comes down to, do you trust the ARB to make a good decision about the design for making that larger garage or not? I think my answer on that is yes. I don't want to remove that ability. and make an even higher burden. That's just my opinion, but it's out there. It's a may approve. It's not saying everybody can make as big a garage as they want. It's just saying if you meet these conditions, then make your case to the ARB and they can approve it or they can deny it.
How did the ARB vote on that?
They want to strike.
They want to strike it.
Can I just, if I can point out, you're saying you want to not make that revision to allow the ARB to have the flexibility, but yet the ARB wants to make that revision.
Correct.
Yeah, I mean, but you have to, also giving the community the opportunity to bring their proposals forward that they want is part of our job. So that's what I'm getting at. I think we should give the community the opportunity to make a case for that.
Do we know why that is limited to corner lots? Because
No.
if you read the part that's an exception to, it says on corner lots, buildings located at corner lots above the regulation shall apply for primary.
Which one?
You have double front setback.
Yeah, so you have
Requirement.
different streetscapes,
Okay.
you have different
Yeah.
streetscapes to which you use your 40%.
So it would be on the one side.
That's what I was trying to figure out.
No, if you look at the entire thing, you can see at the top, it says A front entry garages,
Yeah.
and then it has sub 1 through 8,
Yeah.
and then it comes indents.
It's for everything.
back out.
I just read the inches there.
Okay, yeah.
Maybe this should have been a number 9, but it's shown this way in the ordinance.
The way it's updated, I thought.
No.
Oh, yes, just make it a number.
Oh, it's not an 8A.
It's under
Okay.
8A. Yes, there are sub points in there, and then it goes back to 8A.
Goes to. What?
Right.
It is 8A because 8. So
It's just not shown as
8A
8A.
is front end. Or excuse me.
Oh, okay.
Excuse me.
Section
I
A.
apologize.
Section A.
It's
Section
A.
A.
So A
yes.
is front entry garages, and then there's sub points 1 through 8, and then it goes
Which would be
back
nine.
out
Should
to
be
A.
So it should be
Yeah, I
9.
apologize.
No,
So it should be 9.
Should be
But
nine.
it reads under. It
Not
A.
reads under A because B goes.
should
on
be
to
nine.
A9.
yeah,
Yeah.
the size,
The moral of the story is this applies to all lots, not just corner lots. And I
Yeah, it
still have
applies
the
to
same
all lots.
opinion.
Let me ask, for the ARB to approve the design, is there a specific set of criteria that gotta meet, or is that just a matter of their professional judgment?
I don't know of any specific criteria. I think it's just professional judgment. Does it fit well about that kind of thing?
So, as someone who spent many years on the ARB, my argument to this would be that everything else is about the aesthetics of the proposal as it's presented within the boundaries of the ordinances, and they're prescriptive on size, shape, setback, your porches, things like that. And then this is a very arbitrary, Michael, to your point, there are no criteria around which to judge this moment. And so the ARB is being asked to decide on basically being the board of adjustment. Is there a reason? And if there's no hardship, then you're just making judgment calls without anything, I think, backing them up. So I would also like to take that decision out of the realm of the ARB and keep it based on does your mass and your form meet the zoning ordinance as it's laid out, and is it aesthetically, within reason and, appealing and not, maybe disjointed or unbuildable, which has happened.
And then that would mean people have to go to the board of
So,
adjustment to.
And then you have to prove that you have a hardship that requires you to have this, as opposed to this is I just want this.
Right.
So if I'm, just to make sure I follow, you would vote to remove the exception. Okay. And I'll just point out, as far as all this goes, I know last time we talked about this and the 40%, and I served on the board adjustment. I also pointed out that I had this neighbor that really made this work real well. And I would go by his judgment, because he did a great job in making it work, and that was this guy. So if he said, I'm with that.
All right, anything else? I think we probably need to take these
Yeah.
one by one.
Just one more comment about the 40%. I mean, the historic districts are very important, but when we're talking about maintaining neighborhood character, I don't live in a historic district, but there are no houses in my neighborhood that have a front-facing garage. And yes, I would be worried about someone doing that. So keeping it general rather than saying, oh, you can't do it in this area, you can do it in this area, it just makes it easier if you just leave it the way that it is.
Okay, 53203A, as previously mentioned, I think there's no changes proposed unless someone wants to propose them.
Are we gonna go like, you mean like go one by one?
Yes. Yeah. So I'm going to judge that we take no action on that then.
Concur.
We need a vote because we're recommending at this point to council.
We're recommending to
Recommend.
keep it though, what I
Yes.
asked earlier.
So there have been proposed
yeah.
actions.
Just like they had at
Yes.
one of those
So
commissions.
if we could go to requested action there's 3 requested actions. And so
Mhm.
we need a vote, at least one that covers all 3 of those things so that we can submit them to council.
Okay, but
Motion.
my question, well, hold on. So
You can
my
do them
my
separate.
question earlier was, there's no change being recommended. So, I mean,
Then that should be the action.
what?
To keep the provision of the code is.
We would
But
need.
why aren't we recommending to keep all the other provisions then as well? That are unchanged?
I think we need to vote on 2, 3 because.
That's what we're gonna do.
Mhm.
I'm saying for the one that doesn't change.
I understand what you're saying, right? There's
There's
a
nothing
code
changed.
and we're not talking
Well,
about the code.
if-
but
So why are we
My,
just focused on this, not this one non-change?
Because when it goes to council could hypothetically override you with this issue.
Okay.
And so that is the requested action because this is what has been
Okay.
presented to be voted on and council will get the opportunity.
Okay.
so I'm assuming that a yes vote on number 1 is to keep it the way it is.
Well,
Correct.
Mhm.
To
So
not eliminate those. So
so
we need a motion.
53203A, a motion to
Motion.
maintain it.
Yeah, motion to
Keep the.
keep the provision of the code listed in requested action 1.
Second.
All right, we'll do roll call. Andrew?
Yes.
Grace?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Tony?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Yes.
Christie?
Yes.
Annie?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Okay, item 3A, addition of a provision, well, I'll let someone else make the motion on this, but
I'll just follow the prompt. If you scroll down first.
There
Okay,
you go.
so I'll read it just how it is and then you guys say yay or nay. Motion to add section 53203A3A as recommended in requested action 2.
Second.
moved and seconded. Andrew? Grace?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Tony?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Kyle?
Yes.
Christie?
Yes.
Annie?
Yes.
And chair votes yes. The unnumbered provision at the end, can we recommend, make a rendition to make that 9?
You certainly can. I think when the code itself is read more clearly, it makes more sense. Or when it's in its entirety, it makes more sense.
It would be like a letter B, I think, rather than a number 9.
No.
Because it's not specific to front entry garages, it's specific to garages in general.
I think it's.
No, I think it's,
Yeah, it's.
Is it front
specific
entry only?
that-
Okay, so then I guess it would need to be 9 if that's what it's doing. Okay. I'm not gonna, do I have to, if I make a motion, can I vote against this? Because okay. I just want to make a motion to take the
that's
vote.
why I wanted to do these separately.
Yeah, because I don't want to do this. I think we should leave this.
You want me to
Okay,
make the motion?
sure.
I'm gonna make a
Take a
motion.
turn. I've talked to.
I'm gonna make a motion that we approve the exception, removal of the exception at the end of 53203, eliminating the ARB's approving power for the 40% of enlarged garage sizes.
Second.
All right, moved and seconded. Let's go the other way this time. Annie?
Yes or no?
Yeah, that's what it is.
Annie?
You're muted.
All right, let's go. All right, Christie.
I vote yes.
Kyle?
I'm here,
Yes.
sorry.
Go ahead.
Yes.
Thank you. Michael,
Yes.
Tony,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Grace,
No.
Andrew. And chair votes yes.
So was that 8-1? Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, next item, fiscal year 2027 budget and fiscal year 2026 end of year report.
Guys, I didn't ask for any money. I hope that was okay. Okay, yeah, what did you want to discuss here, John?
So these items are, I need to get them to the city manager by the end of this month. So I think that we'll do the end of the year report first, if you don't mind. I used a lot of what was in the previous years to kind of guide. And then I did add in what the commission did this last year, number of public hearings, site development plans and plats. I didn't see anything specific on that was in the agendas. Of course, you approved the new comprehensive plan in September 2025. That was probably one of the largest accomplishments. Other than that, just ongoing long-term projects, implement the comprehensive plan, so on and so forth, as I had in the bullet points there, and kind of I added a table or kind of a review matrix that the Plan Commission generally operates under. I would be happy to make any revisions to this document. Should anybody have any? Oh, let me go down to that. I'm sorry.
We've got some, scroll back up, please.
Did I have a typo?
Oh, there, yeah, Maddie is no longer with us, on the commission.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, and okay, so Maddie's not there. Okay.
Yeah.
And you're replacing her, is that right? Chris?
You can't really replace her.
I mean, is everybody else? Is there? I'm sorry, Christy. I didn't mean to omit you. This is only my third meeting. Forgive me. I think everybody else is on there, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. So I'll make that change. Thank you for noting that. Everybody else okay with the rest of it, I guess? Okay, good. Thank you. They need to vote on that, don't they? On the just the end of year report?
Yes.
Yes, you need to, if you can take a vote on that, that would be nice, with Christie's name being added, of course, so you can vote too.
All right, I've just, I'll put this up for motion. Just all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you. The last one is a relatively minor item, but some boards and commissions have larger budgets than others. The Plan Commission doesn't have a tremendous budget. It was $990 for fiscal year 26. So far, we've spent $306. 31. I mean, it's quite a bit less than year to date. We could have spent, I think, 700 or something like that. So I think $900 for fiscal year 27 is probably going to be sufficient. And the only thing we really use it for is for advertising, public hearings and such.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I've not requested anything. I
mean, if we have a spate of public hearings, I'm sure we can find the money somewhere.
And no professional, no APA requirements.
That's a different part of the budget.
Okay.
For you guys?
No.
I mean,
For you, or for, conference, the APA conference, is that included in this budget?
no, that's in a different section of the overall budget. This is simply, and actually the Historic Preservation Commission has a budget, the ARB, Board of Adjustment has a larger one because they have more advertising and such. But no, these are strictly for the board and commissions. That part is a separate section of the budget.
That's a department thing, not a board and commission.
I'm sorry?
That's a department expense,
Correct.
not a
Correct.
commission. Yeah, unless I want to go to it. I don't want to go to.
I mean, you guys could go to some local type, UMSL or something like that if you wanted to. I could find a way to.
It's not going to be $900.
No.
Still got 570. So do we need a vote on that, approval of that?
Yes.
Before you vote on that, can you scroll down to it on here?
Oh,
There's
yes.
another section, which is the 27 plans, and it has NA, but I do think we need to put something there. That's not only for budgeting purposes. It's for planning purposes in general.
Where?
One,
Oh,
the work plan.
the work plan.
I'm sure we can copy and wordsmith stuff from what you already do in the comp plan and all of that, but I do think we need to have something there.
Okay, yeah, I was following the lead of the Director of Finance. Would that part not be included up and through here?
Didn't you do one?
I think the previous one is saying what they have done. And then the 27 is what's going to happen.
Yeah, I can add something in about working on the comprehensive plan and reviewing things. Yeah, I can add something in for that if you.
Yeah, mission, duties, and purpose and duties fit there as well.
Yeah. They may not need it for the budget purposes, but council will need that.
Okay, if you'll trust me to add that in,
It would be nice to see because the comprehensive plan was so detailed with 3 layers from like the pillars to the goals to the initiatives. If there are specific initiatives, I don't know how the city's doing this. That's kind of why I'm asking. It's our first year with this comp plan. Are the initiatives going to be part of our work plan for the FY27? Like, how do we
Yes,
ultimately work those off?
well, yeah, it's in and Emily's right. It'd be nice to have something in there for that. Something very generic about working on the comprehensive plan, but then what you did last year as far as ongoing and long-term projects.
No, but I mean, for this year, I thought the initiatives were going to be prioritized by the city staff into buckets that were near, medium, and long-term for.
Sure, and that's just an implementation of the comprehensive plan. That's something we're working on, is prioritizing the items
How do we know, though, as the commission members, which things were chosen as the initiatives that are near term that we're going to be participating and helping to carry out?
I could bring that back to the commission.
I mean, I'm not trying to say that's how you have to build the plan, but that's where I was expecting to see it. So I'm just asking the question in general. We could do it more informally.
Yeah, I think that's probably more in hesitate to say informal, but because I am going to bring it back to the commission. But I'm a little bit, we haven't got all the way done yet because we're down a planner and I'm trying to, we haven't quite gotten to that part yet. But I will certainly bring that back to the commission when we have the spreadsheet and the flow chart a little bit more.
And remind me, is April the fiscal year for the city?
July 1st.
Finished 3 different fiscal years and
July 1st to June 30th.
Okay.
So if you'll trust me to throw a little bit of, I probably shouldn't say that, add a little bit of detail, mission, purpose, and duties that, as Peter alluded to, I'll add that in there.
Yeah.
To Chris's point, I would like to see just a standing item on our agenda. And maybe the report is nothing to report, but I think the plan so often is we spend a lot of time on it, it's filed away. Sometimes we dredge it up. You probably remember it word for word, but, it's not a living document. So I think I would benefit, just reporting monthly, again, even if it's not, nothing to report.
Sure.
Status and where the city's going. And
I think that's a great idea. And I know that you guys are working on a visual way to track things too, probably on the website, with other things. So
Correct. Yeah.
there should be lots of tools to be able to share with you all. And
Just a suggestion. I hope one of our goals is updating of the zoning ordinance.
Either one fell swoop or a little bit at a time, as we did this evening, is how that would work. There are benefits to doing it both ways, and one fell swoop would be somewhat costly. Doing it piecemeal, as we did this evening, would be much more time consuming.
Yeah,
So-
just taking it in chunks, of
Yeah, yeah, that would.
What's most urgent need?
And we have an RFP out for consultant services to see just what that dollar figure entails and how much it would.
Do it as one chunk, you mean?
Yes.
Okay.
So we will know a little bit more on that in about a month or two.
One chunk of our money, many chunks of their time.
Well, I mean, one chunk of the ordinance, I mean, doing it all together rather than this one and then next, that stuff. But pick the important ones, like the front facing garages.
Yes. So, and there'll be others coming before you too, but yeah, I'll add something into that and Jeff, I'll add something to the agenda. That'll kind of force me to provide something to you anyway. So I'd be happy to do that.
Okay. So where are we at on? Did we approve the budget? I don't even remember.
I don't think so.
I think we did.
No.
Do we need, yeah.
Did it as in minutes.
No, that was the.
No, this,
that
yeah,
was
you need to
26.
just vote on this and say,
Year-end report, so we have to have
All
a
right.
vote.
just say the director will actually stick something in the first section of it. So
Motion to approve the FY27 work plan with additions from the planning director in section 1.
And change of commission
And
members.
adding Christie to our members.
really feel.
Second.
All right, all those in favor? Aye.
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 Thank you, Annie. All right, I would ask John, we can get printouts. I think
You want,
everyone would want, yeah.
yeah, that was
Cut down to
my
30.
apologies for that.
Yeah.
Printouts next time. I would be happy to do that for those who, I mean, if you don't want one, let me know. You'll save some paper, but I'd be happy to print everything out for you.
Okay. What else?
All right.
Any other business? Or am I stepping on you?
No, the next regular meeting is March 2nd, 2025.
Do you have anything in yet for that?
Possibly one thing, yes. It's not public, so I can't say, but there maybe one thing on it. So
Just a nice CUP.
this is a nice thing.
Yeah, let's go back. No PEUs.
What a bar.
No plan.
Yeah.
I actually wouldn't mind that myself.
All right. Adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. See you next month.